Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here with you all, filming this video during our live show every Thursday at 4 Eastern. Join us next time. But today's show is all about Deshaun Watson's press conference today. The first time he spoke to the media since August and 4 months, and didn't want to answer any of the questions around, the huge elephant in the room. Deshaun Watson started his press conference off with pretty much saying thank you to the Browns, kind of like the cliche, thank you to the Browns, super excited to be here, yada, yada, yada. Oh, by the way, I'm only going to answer questions related to football, which reporters are going to do their job. They are going to ask about, how about the suspension he just endured and what treatment he went through and the process to be reinstated and the therapy and all that stuff, but we do not get any answers from that. The last time Deshaun Watson spoke to the media, which was back in August, he was an open book. Meaning he didn't say no to any question, right? He answered every question. He didn't say, I'm not talking about that. It didn't go very well. In fact, the Haslams and Watson, ever since this trade went down, they don't have a very good report card in their press conferences. So I'm not shocked that Deshaun Watson said, we're not going to talk about the elephant in the room and I'm just going to talk about football. But at some point, he'll have to face the music. Let's get into today's show, though. We've got our Bernie heads here. You guys know it's a staple of the channel. So the first news and rumors segment. Deshaun Watson, is he going to be rusty when he returns in Week 13 this Sunday? I don't know. I'm breaking my own rules here. It's not zero Bernie heads. It's not any Bernie heads. I don't know. Why don't I know? Because not even Deshaun Watson knows, all right? Watson was asked during his press conference, hey, what are you going to try to do to knock off the rust, right? Haven't played, and it'll be, I believe, 700 days on the dot. His answer, I'm not sure. This is my first time having time off. And sounds about right. I expect for them to be some rust. He, in 5 preseason passes against the Jags, only completed 1. 2 were dropped. Dearness Johnson had a fumble on the second series. We never got to see much of Deshaun Watson in his lone preseason game back in August. Was it a pretty preseason performance? No. Was it preseason? Yeah, that's the whole point of preseason. They're supposed to be growing pains. He also only threw the ball 5 times, and 2 of them were dropped. So we never got a good look, never got a fresh set of downs in that game, for crying out loud. But I do want to throw some tweets your guys' way here. A couple of the team reporters doing a good job of posting some tweets I thought you guys should see. So Cameron Justice tweeting out that Alex Van Pelt, the OC, on Deshaun Watson. There will be some rust to knock off. Hopefully it knocks off quickly. Said it's football and he's played it his whole life, so he's hopeful he'll get up to speed quickly. So AVP kind of keeping it a buck with us, letting us know, yeah, there's definitely a rust factor, but hopefully it lasts a quarter or 2 and not a game or 2. That's a big difference right there. Cameron Justice also tweeted this out. Deshaun Watson said he's taking football questions only, and that's where we kind of transition now from the rust conversation to it's only football for Deshaun Watson. So, Zac Jackson, who covers the team for The Athletic, my main focus from Deshaun Watson is locked in on the game plan and trying to execute. We got a lot of these types of, I wouldn't say cliche answers, but, beating around the bush of not giving any juicy responses for, hey, what have the last 4 months been like while you've been suspended? Now, here's another tweet from Zac Jackson about Deshaun Watson. Quoting Watson saying, my biggest focus was the mental part, staying locked in on defensive schemes and staying locked in on the scheme we have here. Just following Jacoby, asking him questions, preparing like I was the starter this week. Another quote from Deshaun Watson's press conference. When I first got back, my thing was hearing Jacoby talking to those receivers. We watched tape. I'm able to stand up in the meeting. Let's be able to have that communication and talk. And Deshaun Watson gave a lot of praise to Jacoby Brissett for doing a good job of holding down the fort while he was gone. And he also said he was someone that he looked, for inspiration of how he should take over as the quarterback of this team, kind of following Brissett's footsteps for the last 12 weeks of the season. All right, we're going to get to more on this press conference in just a moment, but we are 89 subscribers away from reaching 15,200. I know it doesn't feel like a huge milestone, but this channel has been growing like crazy. So hop on the train if you haven't already, and make sure to subscribe. I saw this tweet from Matt Fontana, and I thought you guys should see it too. Deshaun Watson on his accuracy. My biggest thing is to anticipate the throws, where the guys are going to be and how the defense will play every route. If I can get those details down, I can get the ball where I need to. Now, there was a video that went, I wouldn't say viral, but maybe Brown's Twitter viral, of Deshaun Watson throwing to David Bell and Anthony Schwartz on Wednesday, and some drops happening during those throws. It wasn't a very good sight. It was a bad visual, let's be honest here. I think the connection and the time it takes for Watson and his receivers will not be immediate. I don't think these guys are going to get on the field and be on the same page instantaneously, right? There's a lot of times where quarterbacks and receivers, a lot of times they don't even have to verbalize the route. For example, right, a quarterback lines up, he's got his receiver, say in this situation, Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper. Depending on how the safeties line up, if Watson and Cooper see the same thing, they're going to be on the same page of, Cooper, you should run this route instead. And that doesn't even need to be said out loud. That kind of stuff, that takes time. And that's not going to be happening in week one. It's going to be not very improvisation, but much more cookie cutter routes you're going to see out of the Browns this week here, in my prediction. Now, speaking of predictions, I want to get your predictions in for Deshaun Watson's stat line for week 13. Just let me know, keep it basic, or you can go very super in-depth for week 13. Let me know in the comment section below if you think he's going to be throwing for 3 touchdowns, 1 touchdown. Let me know down below. All right, next story here. We're going to kind of switch gears, and let's talk about Grant Delpit. Is Grant Delpit back, right? After a bad start to the year, has he turned his season around? I'm going to give it 3 Bernie heads. Maybe I'm being a bit overambitious here right now, but Grant Delpit quietly has turned his play around the second half of the first 13, 12 games of the season. I saw this on Twitter from Matty G Hot Takes. I thought it was a pretty good take, honestly. I think we all owe Grant Delpit an apology. The Browns' leading tackler has drastically improved since week 6. Quick sidebar, when your safety is your leading tackler, that's not a very good thing. It means your defensive line, your linebackers are not stopping their running backs. But anywho, from week 7 on, hasn't allowed more than 2 completions in a game, hasn't given up more than 35 yards in a game, and gave up 0 touchdowns. So with that, we kind of segue into Petey's doghouse right here, which usually is 3 guys that you don't want to be in the doghouse. But after the win from the Bucs game, we're going to kind of spin zone it. We did this after the Bengals win. Extended leash, meaning take your dog out and you trust them, a little bit more than just a standard 6-foot leash. That is Joe Woods. The way his defense played against the Bucs, got to give some credit. I'm not going to say Joe Woods is free forever. His defense has played bad way too many times this year to let 1 or 2 games buy him an extra season. But for this week, he's getting an extended leash. Extra treats for being the goodest of boys, that is Jadeveon Clowney. The guy got his first sack on Sunday since week 2. That's a long time for someone who's your second edge rusher to go without a sack. So Clowney and Garrett, they both came up big in the Bucs game, but good to see Clowney reemerge for, his best game since week 1 probably? And then off the leash, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Grant Delpit, right? I've got a neighbor in my building who does not use a leash for their dog. I think it is, bonkers beyond belief to live in a urban setting and not use a leash, but that's a separate conversation. But Grant Delpit, he's off the leash, right? I've got no concerns over him right now, at least after this week. He got full reign of the yard and on the walk. We're going to go through more Grant Delpit stats in just a moment, but it's chilly out there, and there is an awesome deal right now at Fanatics. Get the Sweet Browns hoodie with Brownie the Elf right on it on sale. Now, here's the thing. These sales, as we get closer to Christmas and the holiday season, which is already here, they're going to start disappearing, and you're going to start paying a lot more than if you bought it right now. So go to chatsports.com/CLE hoodie. I've got the link for all of you in the comments and the description of today's show. Check it out. Get yourself or a loved one this awesome hoodie on sale right now. Going back to Grant Delpit, though. The first 6 weeks of the season were abysmal. Giving up 11 receptions for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. Those numbers for a corner, not so bad. For a safety, like bottom 5 in the NFL bad. Week 7 through 12, playing what, one fewer game because of the bye? 11 targets, so pretty similar to 14 the week before. Only giving up 6 receptions, though, for 96 yards and no touchdowns. So, yeah, Delpit the last 5 or so weeks has really picked up his play and has not been an eyesore that needs to be removed from the game immediately. If he can continue this play through the rest of the season, I think I'm going to feel a lot better going into next year about not needing to use a prime free agent acquisition or an earlier draft pick on a safety. John Johnson probably gone, but I would be open to rolling with D'Anthony Bell and Delpit next year as your tentative starters. All right, final story here. Scooby-Doo, the Cleveland Police Department. Did they solve the case of who broke into First Energy Stadium and drove donuts on the field? 4 Bernie heads, yeah, apparently they did. Cleveland's finest cracked the case on who broke into First Energy and drove and tore up the field. So, Cameron Justice tweeting out, Cleveland police have identified the individual who broke into First Energy Stadium and vandalized the Browns field. The person has not been arrested, but police say it will be a direct indictment. So, that is that. We solved the case. And, I mean, I'm going to feel somewhat partially responsible because I did say it might be the skunk who could have done it. So, I was early on the scene. I won't say I was first. Maybe some other people were ahead of the curve too. But this was, of course, the skunk that made a visit to the Browns game. Not the first time a wild rodent was at the game. Remember this? The raccoon that was there earlier this year. So, now, earlier this week, we talked about the skunk that maybe saved the Browns season because some people are saying the lucky skunk won the Browns over the Bucs. So with that being said here, I had you guys give me your best ideas for naming the skunk. And here were the 3 most common answers I got. Baker Mayfield, Art Modell, and Tom Brady. I'll let you guys, democracy, decide what to name the skunk that saved the Browns season, at least for now. 6 for Baker. I feel kind of bad. Poor Baker. He's having a really bad year, and now he's being named after a skunk. Art Modell. This one I like more. Or Tom Brady. I kind of like that, right? It was against Brady, the first time Brady has ever lost a game when leading by a touchdown in the final minute of the game. So get your votes in down below who you think we should name the skunk after.